Hi, and welcome to this video about making Pong using Pygame. Let me first clarify that this video is just about the general steps of making a game. In other minute, I will not go in deep explanation about some concepts like the object-oriented programming. Rather, I want to inspire you to make your own game. Let's start first by importing Pygame library with import Pygame, then we initialize it. After that, we will customize the window of our game. I always create two variables, the width and the height of the window. Then I will create a variable that I will call screen, and I will assign to it pygame.display.set_mode, and we will put tuple of the width and the height inside the parentheses. Let's give our width 800 and our height 600. To name our window or display, we will use pygame.display.set_caption, and we will name it Pong. We should put it as a string. Our game is in fact just an infinite loop, thus we will create a boolean variable that we will name running and we will assign to it true. While the variable is true keeps running, then the first thing to do inside the infinite loop is to check if there is an input. If our player clicks on a button or something, therefore we will use a for loop to go through all the events and check if they changed. In our case, for example, we will check if the player wants to close the window. If a type of event equals pygame.quit, then switch running to false so we can break the while loop. After that, we will close all what we initialized at the beginning by pygame.quit. Let's test our program. Good. Clock of our game to control how fast the screen updates. In our infinite loop, we will tick our clock for 60 frames per second. We will also need to update the drawing on our screen by pygame.display.update. Let's also define some colors that we will use in our game. Each color will be defined in a tuple, and we put inside this tuple the value of the red color, the green color, and the blue color. For me, I would like to choose the gray as a background. I want to use it to fill our screen. Let's try our program. Perfect. As I mentioned before, I will use the object-oriented programming, but I will not go in further explaining this concept. What you should keep in mind is that class is like templates, and we will use this template to generate the objects that we will need. In our case, we will create class of paddle or player and generate two players. It is useful because it will let us avoid coding each player separately and keep our code structured. Sprite means any graphic that can move on the screen or that can be controlled. And there is already a class of sprite in Python from which we will derive our class of player. The first method that we will need in our class is the init, and it's called the constructor. This method is called when an object is created to initialize its attributes like the x and y position, the dimensions, the color, and so on. Our player will be just an image and a rectangle that allows us to control the image. The image will be just a surface. We will put this surface on the references 0, 0, then we will change this position later. We will declare a list where we will store all of our sprites and we will name it all sprites. We should call the parent sprite constructor. We test our program. The pixel that has the references x equals to 0 and y equals to 0 is not in the middle of the display, rather it is in the top left corner. If we go from the left to the right of the screen, we increase the value of x, and if we move from the top of the screen to the bottom, we increase the value of y. Nice. We will instantiate the second player as the same as we did for the first one. We will only change its x position. And then we will add it to our sprites group. Now let us control this pedal. We could control it only to the top by decreasing the value of its y position, or to the bottom by increasing the value of its y position. We will create two methods in the player's class to move up or down our player. And we will check for the player 1 if the key up is pressed, then we will move our paddle to the top, or the key down is pressed, then we will move it to the bottom. For the player 2, we check the keys S to move to the bottom and Z to move to the top. The class of the ball will be similar to player's class. The only differences were the dimensions of ball surface and its method.
To move a ball that is positioned in x and y coordinates, we should add a velocity vector that is determined by Vx and Vy. This vector specifies the difference or the delta in pixels to apply to the initial coordinates x and y. We will generate this velocity vector randomly by importing random library and create random values for Vx and Vy. To make the ball bounce when it collides with the top or the bottom of the screen, we should switch the sign of the ball's velocity Vx each time the top of the ball equals to 0 or its bottom equals to the height of the screen. Now let us detect the collisions between the ball and the paddles. We will use the method collideRect. Similarly to what we did with the ball and the edges or the wall, when the ball will collide with the paddle, it should invert the sign of its x velocity. Before moving to the next part of the video, let me just add in one thing, which is starting the game. It means the ball cannot start moving until or if only we pressed the spacebar. We will add a list to store the score results. After that, we will display it on the screen with split method. I hope that you enjoyed the video. Please hit subscribe and the like buttons and leave comments. Thank you for watching.